Hello, it's Gunnar here from Buff Nerf Repeat, and today I'm bringing you a video review of Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. Now, the written review of this is over on our website, which is buffnerfrepeat.com, so if you prefer to read reviews, great, head on over there, check that one out. If not, stay here, enjoy the review. Now, as a kid, I used to love role-playing as Spider-Man. You'd catch me jumping up and down my stairs, sofas, beds, doing roly-polies. I mean, the full works. I'm surprised I didn't break my neck. But the thing that made it worse for me was that I never really had the Spider-Man costume. Like, I don't know how many times I asked my parents for one for like a Christmas or birthday, but they never bought me one, and I ended up just wearing like red and blue clothing, looking nothing like Spider-Man. So I thought, I'm never going to have an opportunity to be Spider-Man again, and that was until Insomniac Games announced that they were going to be making Spider-Man for the PlayStation, and I thought, you know what, finally I'm going to get that opportunity, and I'm happy to report that they haven't let me down. Now, when you first get dropped into Spider-Man, the first thing you're going to notice is how amazing the travelling system in this game is, and I'm talking about the webs swinging. Of course, Spider-Man's main method of travel through the city is going to be swinging on his webs. Now, this system is probably the best system I've seen in any computer game ever. If Sunset Overdrive held the title before, then Spider-Man has definitely taken it now. It's no coincidence that both of those games are made by the same developer. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the movement. So you start off using a trigger button to initiate a swing. Now, the longer you hold in the trigger, the longer you stay in the swing. So when you release it, you fall. What's great about this system is that the player has control over the moves. Now, in games like Assassin's Creed, you'll just move the direction button in the direction and maybe hold a button, and all the parkour will be done for you. Here it's all about momentum now. You'll be gathering momentum the more you swing, and you'll be looking for areas that you can connect your webs to, whether it be a police radar tower in the sky. You need to bridge the gaps between buildings to keep that momentum going and to keep your speed up. Now, there are missions that involve and will require you to move at great speed, and obviously the better you are at swinging, the easier these missions are to complete, and I really like that. I really like that you can have a travelling system that can reward players for being better at it than others. And okay, these missions aren't difficult, but you'll probably be able to complete them a lot quicker than somebody who's moving quite slowly through the sky. Now, another really important thing about the travelling system here is that some of the skills and some of the movements are completely upgradable, so you'll be able to wall run at greater speeds, you'll be able to swing at faster speeds the more you level up, and you'll be able to unlock and purchase different moves that are going to aid your ability too. For example, the web zip can be upgraded to you can use it twice. So what that means is you can then boost twice, and it's these little touches that really add to the overall feel and the overall appeal of this travelling system in Spider-Man. For all the good, there are some negatives, and it's not really aimed at the movement itself, it's more aimed at the reason why you're moving around the city. Now, collectibles, unlockables, quests, all this stuff, they exist, but once you've collected them, you really do have very little reason to revisit certain areas of the city. So all of a sudden, travelling becomes quite boring. I mean, I'm seeing the same things over and over again. Buildings look the same. Okay, there are landmarks and different areas that have been recreated from New York City, but once you've seen them once, or once you're high enough to not even notice them, I guess they kind of lose their appeal. I just wish that there was a little bit more to discover in the city and slightly more reason for me to use these excellent travelling mechanics. Also, it's around about this point that you start to already see the similarities between Spider-Man and Batman's Arkham series. Now, okay, it's an open world and they're both superhero games, so how different can they be? But it's just at no point did I feel that there were any differences between the reasons why you travel around the world. Speaking of travelling around the world, one of the reasons why you'll be doing that in Spider-Man is to unlock upgrades, abilities, and different suits. Now, suits are more than just cosmetics here. What they are is each one gives a different ability, and it's actually a really nice touch, and it's really good to see some of the Spider-Man suits from yesteryear comics being incorporated into the game. Now, the collectibles, on the other hand, it's just the normal go here, pick up this, unlock this. It's nothing really that refreshing. There's some landmarks that you might want to take pictures of. It's nothing amazing. It does enough though to encourage players to complete these tasks, because the things that you can unlock, although not game changing, they're not needed. are still pretty cool to have in your collection. Now, combat is another area that I felt was a little bit of a letdown in Spider-Man. Look, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the combat here. It flows beautifully, it's wonderfully animated, there's lots of moves, different things to unlock, different ways to approach combat, different enemy types. It's all great. The issue I have is that we've seen it before, and to be quite honest with you, I'm getting fed up of this whole dodge counter battle system that we've been seeing in superhero games and games like Assassin's Creed for so long now. It's about time that we got a new combat system. I want to see something that requires more skill than reflexes, and I really hope that Spider-Man would be the game that changed that, but it isn't, and it's fundamentally the same as the Arkham series. It's not a bad thing, I just think it's time for a change. Now, one thing that I'm glad hasn't changed is the production value of these Marvel superhero games. Now, this game is no exception to that rule. The whole thing, it has fantastic production value. It's got brilliant voice acting, the cutscenes are excellent, the story, the music, everything comes together to really create that whole superhero experience that you've come to expect. One of the areas I was a little bit worried about when reading previews was the whole playing as Peter Parker and MJ. Now, I was worried that these were going to be annoyingly long sections of the game that were really boring, and the whole time I was just wishing that I could get back into control of Spider-Man and go whipping bad guys' asses. And I'm pleased to say that although these sections aren't as good as being Spider-Man for obvious reasons, they don't go on for that long, and they really do help set up important cutscenes and develop the story. Now, the main quest is obviously where you're going to spend the majority of your time, but there are side quests and there are random activities and events that take place throughout the city. Now, these differ from the collectibles that I spoke about earlier. These are actually quests that require you to do different things, or to random events that you have to prevent maybe some bad guys breaking into a building, or somebody's had a car crash and you have to save them. And they're great the first time or even the second time, but after a while they get rather repetitive. Not really much reason to play them other than to upgrade equipment, and again, you don't really need to upgrade your equipment. You can complete this game without doing any of that, so it's a little bit disappointing once again, and disappointing seems to be a word that I've been using a lot with this game. I want to stress that it's not a bad game, it's just that really I expected more and I wanted more, and sadly I just didn't get it. I think what's worse is that these activities don't really differ the more you level up. Yes, the city changes depending on the events and where you are in the story, things get more difficult. But at hour 35, I was kind of just doing the same things that I was doing at hour 5, and just wanted to do something more by this point, and there just wasn't really anything else available to me. Now, I've got to add that when playing on a PlayStation, I was playing on a PS4 Pro in 4K, I did encounter a couple of bugs and crashes. Now, I don't really like mentioning these things because I know they can very easily be patched out, and from reading other reviews it seems like nobody else has got these apart from me, so I'm pretty sure it's not my PlayStation, it's only a couple of months old, or maybe some of the big companies just didn't feel the need to mention them. But I had a couple of lockouts, had a couple of quests that wouldn't start properly and wouldn't finish properly, and I think it's important just to let you guys know that if you experience any of these issues, then you're not the only one. Now, I feel like a lot of this review has been a bit negative, and I don't want to give the impression that I didn't enjoy Spider-Man, because I did. The issue I have here is that it hasn't changed enough from the Arkham series, and for a game that's being billed as one of the greatest superhero games ever made, I feel like it should have given us a little bit more, something a little bit different, something unique, something up its sleeve that we hadn't seen before, but sadly it doesn't do it. Now, would I buy Spider-Man? Would I recommend Spider-Man to people? Absolutely. It's a fantastic game, and it's yet another excellent PlayStation 4 exclusive. It's just unfortunate that there's not enough here to really propel this game into the classic category, because I feel like the foundation that superheroes games have with the Arkham series is such a strong one that it's such a great opportunity for games to really build on it and really to create something amazing. But Spider-Man doesn't do that, it just kind of plays it safe, and I think that's one of the reasons why it hasn't propelled itself into that next tier, that next level of great games. Now, score-wise, Spider-Man's going to get an 8 out of 10 from me. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to playing the downloadable content and seeing what Spider-Man has in offer for us in the future. Right, so that's the review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear your opinions. If you thought maybe I was being a little bit too harsh on it, then please let me know in the comments. Head on over to buffnerfrepeat.com for the full written review, your find I go into a little bit more detail about some of the things that maybe I was a bit critical of in this review. So if you want to check that out, that would be great. Until next time, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you very soon.